All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another WNBA video. We are pushing towards the playoffs. There's about less than 10 games left for some teams, a little more than 10 games for other teams, but we are in the final push here. I want to talk about the games from this weekend. The Wings versus the Aces in Las Vegas as a tongue twister, and then the Liberty in Minnesota to play the Lynx, a finals rematch. Down there in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. Both these games sort of had playoff implications. I want to really start with my Aces. They get top billing today because they've been on a roll recently, and then we'll talk a little bit about this finals rematch, the Lynx versus the Liberty. There's a lot of L's today, um, so if I get tongue twisted, I apologize. And yeah, if you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So, again, Aces are going to get top billing because they have been on the roll. Are they the hottest team in the WNBA? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if they're not hot, they're definitely more than lukewarm. I'll say that much. And then the finals rematch: Lynx versus the Liberty. It was a little bit of a blowout. It got really close in the third and fourth quarter, so that's why I'm going to talk about it. If it wasn't close in the third and fourth quarter, I probably wouldn't talk about the game at all because it's just a repeat of every other game these teams have played in the regular season. But I think there's a lot of correlations between the Lynx, the Liberty, and the Aces, and we'll get to that thought process in a little bit. But let's talk about this Las Vegas Aces Dallas Wings game. This was a big game for the Aces. Big game. It improved their winning streak to what is this? 7 games in a row. Um, and then they have a day off today, Monday, and then they play the Atlanta Dream at home. Then they play the Mercury at home, um, at their Michelob Ultra Arena. So they have some tough games coming up. Let's talk about the game. I'm a little sidetracked. Um, what was the story of this game? And what has been the story for the Aces? Because I really want to talk about their winning streak in full. They did play the Mercury before this, and they did a lot of things in that Mercury game that led up to this Wings game that they played against. Um, that were really positive. There was some super positive stuff in those two games. We're not going to talk about the Mercury versus Aces game. I watched it just to get a sense of how this winning streak is alive. Because the Mercury are a good team. They're a playoff team. The Wings are a team that suck, but they don't go away. They just keep on pushing no matter what the score is. And what has really stuck out for me for the Aces is that their intensity, their hustle, and their willingness to just try anything. Just and when I say try anything, I mean just, oh, this person's hot. I guess we're gonna feed them tonight. Obviously, Asia Wilson, 3-time MVP, seeking a fourth, is the engine of this offense. But you cannot do it alone. In this game, by itself, Asia Wilson had 34, Melissa Smith had 14, Chelsea Gray had 10, Jackie Young almost close to 10 with 8 points, and then off the bench, Jewel Lloyd 12. And then the biggest surprise of this Aces Wings game was Kristen Bell with 18 points, hit 6 threes, took 7 of them. That's all. That's the only shots she took. She didn't take free throws. She didn't take anything. She just took threes. She was hoisting them up. And I've been very hard on Bell. I don't think she was a great draft pick by the Aces at the time. She really hasn't done anything in her career except ride the bench and occasionally have games like this. But in these situations where you do going into All Star Weekend, the Aces were, and coming out of it, you're gonna have to do some soul searching. You're gonna have to really try to find some talent, some semblance of offense off the bench. And sometimes those off the bench players get the nod to start. Dana Evans a couple games ago got the start. Um, and even the opposite of that, Jewel Lloyd having to come off the bench because she just doesn't fit with the starting lineup like that. She needs her own moments. She needs her own shots. And other players falling out of the rotation, Kia Stokes, Megan Gustafson. You really had to do some searching. And I'm not saying Christian Bell is the answer, but to see that she can have an 18-point game and go off for six threes is much needed. And it builds confidence going in this latter half of the season into the playoffs that like you can tell Kristen, hey, you had a game where you made six threes. Just do that again. Just try to give us something. Even if you give us five and you take 10 shots, that's five threes we need, because this team really isn't 3-point heavy like that. I mean, Joe Lloyd takes a ton of threes. Jackie Young takes some threes. She took eight. She took six this game, and it was a positive thing for the Aces to have somebody just, I won't say a nobody, but somebody who Aces fans and the ones I've talked to and the ones I've seen on social media aren't the biggest fan of Kristen Bell because she just doesn't do anything most of the time. But have this under your belt this late in the season is a good step forward. Um, Asia Wilson was great this game. Again, 34 points, three blocks, two steals, one turnover, one foul, eight rebounds, made a three, 11 of 16. Just pure dominance, just pure dominance. And what she's been doing the past couple games and what she's been able to accomplish in this latter half of the season where this is the most important basketball, especially when you're in the situation like the Aces where are they right now? They are, what is this? One, two, three, four. They are fifth right now. They're sitting at fifth, in the standings, 21 and 14 on the season. So these are huge games. The stretch that they've been having. Um, I want to shout out Jackie Young because she's been an annoyance on the boards for these bigger players. Will she'll just sneak in there and tap the ball out, um, and or either get the rebound or tap the ball out, and it's those little things. And I'm gonna touch on these little things when we talk about the Lynx versus the Liberty in a moment here. It's just championship habits. Um, there have been a lot. There was a lot of moments in the Aces Mercury game where there were just championship habits. Just everybody knew what to do. Um, they knew these moments were so critical, and I think for a team like the Liberty, like the Aces, two championship teams that have won championships and know what they need to do. It's the it's the effort, it's the little things that matter. Especially when you're in the Aces situation where you don't really have the talent you've had in past years. You do have the remaining core of those championship teams in Asia, Chelsea, Jackie. You add a champion in Jewel Lloyd. You bring in a younger player like Melissa Smith, and it's still the same bones and it's still the same structure of a championship team. But everybody knows, everybody's feeding into the championship mindset. Even if they weren't on those championship teams, those habits rub off on one another. And it's very interesting to see that um, the Lynx, and we'll talk about the other game more in depth, but I do really want to touch on this is the Lynx don't have those championship habits. They have something different. They have an infectious energy that propels them through games. That the locker room is great. That the fan base is great. That we have great players and we have the MVP favorite in Nafisa Collier, but it's the infectious energy that gets everybody involved and everybody hyped, and it rubs off on everybody on the team. Good games, bad games. If you're having a good game, bad game, you want to do something to contribute to that, right? Versus the Liberty, who also have the thing that the Aces have in they know these little moments, these little things, tipping the ball out. If I'm the smallest player on the court, I can get in. If I see it open, I can get in there near the paint and tip the ball out and give us a second shot, even if the second shot doesn't go in. You know, and these are things you sort of pick up, and you don't. You can say you know it when you're not a champion. And the Wings are one of the farthest teams away from a championship this year. Um, but you, how am I trying to say this? There are determining factors in a championship run, and the Aces know it, and the Liberty know it. And it's so interesting to see them stick around, try to fight for every win. And the Liberty have been having a worse time than the Aces. They've been losing a bunch of games, but um, it's this. it's this culture setting where we understand we're in desperation mode almost. The Liberty are in desperation mode because they've been without Brianna Stewart for a while. They're getting some of the other players back, their pieces back, and the Liberty have the full team. They just don't have the talent, and they know they don't have the talent, but they need to keep pushing forward and keep pushing forward and keep pushing forward so they can just make it to the playoffs. So they can just be in these conversations, and then maybe just maybe if the cards fall right, and the team has been clicking like it is, you can propel yourself to a conference finals, to a finals. Um, More specifically about this game, Melissa Smith, 14 points, like I mentioned, really good energy, hit two threes, really good stuff, really rounding into form with her new team. They acquired her at the trade deadline. Again, Christian Bell, 18 points. Chelsea Gray hit some big shots. Every time I think Chelsea Gray is just a little over the hill, a little washed. She has a game like this where it's just a calm and collected 10 points, one turnover, 14 assists. That's all you need, a calming presence, you know? And then you have she hit 1 3, took two of them. And then off the bench, the Aces have been needing something off the bench, and it's had to come at the sacrifice of taking your offseason acquisition in Jewel Lloyd, who you thought would be a starter all season. Say, hey, take a little step back, sit on the back burner, come off the bench, and you can give us 12 points, 4 of 8 from three, 4 of 11 from field goal overall. And that's all we need to win this game. And Jewel Lloyd has been magnificent off the bench. I think I might have said something to the effect early in the season when she was struggling that she might need to come off the bench, or like they might need to bring Jackie off the bench. But just having all these guards like Jewel, Chelsea, and Jackie all on the floor at the same time is just not needed all the time, especially in a starting lineup. Because this starting lineup works so much better than a lot of the other combinations they've been running. At least the Aces have been. And yeah, um, let's move on to the wings here. Just quickly, a huge game for Maddie Sigrist. Sigrist, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 2 points, two steals, 2 blocks, 0 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, 33 minutes, 1 or 2 of three, 11 for 15 overall from field goal. The best, maybe the second best player in this game after Asia Wilson. Um, Maddie here, I've been a big Maddie fan for a little while. And it's been interesting to see her find her footing and what she is and what she can do because you're not really looking at her as a second option. You're not really looking at her as like to build the team around. But she's a good enough player to be, hey, this is a third option on a really good team. And I'm not hoping that Maddie leaves the Dallas Wings. But players like this don't stick around on a certain team for long periods of time unless the team actually makes like an effort to want them and still want them. I think Maddie is a really interesting case of she has the length, she has a lot of intangibles, and when you give her these moments where like Arike Agumake is not playing in this game, Lee Yaru is not playing in this game for the Wings, you look at the game and the game sort of opens up for her, and she finds these moments and finds these. She was really disruptive in the paint. Um, when the Aces were trying to get offensive boards. She was really disruptive, really good defensive game, 2 blocks, 2 steals, obviously. Um, and quite frankly, was the best player on the Wings this game. Paige Beckers had a pretty awful game, 18 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 turnovers. What is this? 0 of 2 from three, 8 of 18 overall from field goal. Not her best game. I was expecting a little bit more since like she was one of the taller guards in this matchup. I mean, Chelsea Gray's a little old, so she can't check Paige. Jackie Young's a bit small to check Paige, and then Jewel Lloyd was really the only one that matched up her size wise. She had a pretty decent game. Paige did, but I was hoping for a little bit more, and I think she just got overwhelmed by and the rotations were kind of weird as well on the wing side, the coaching side, but I just felt like she never felt truly comfortable. She had some good moments. She had some really great slight post up moments. Had some great mid range moments. Um, Obviously didn't make any of her threes, but I just expected a little more. This matchup was more favorable to Paige versus Maddie, who had to guard Asia and guard I guess Christian Bell and Melissa Smith. Um, other players for the Wings: Grace Berger, 6 points; Haley Jones, 7 points. Nobody else in double digits except Maddie and Paige. Louisa, 7 points; Hines Allen, 9; Diamond Miller, 4; um, Azzy James, 9; JJ Quinterly, 4. I just want to say something. Uh, I, I I've been meaning to say this. It's gonna sound very mean, but this is gonna sound so mean. But I'm gonna say it. What the hell does Diamond Miller do? I'm just curious because Diamond Miller got traded um, to this team after the trade deadline or during the trade deadline, and all I ever saw, oh, she was the number 2 pick from a few years ago. So much untapped potential, this and that, and they're like really like pushing her, like, oh yeah, she's really good. And she played 11 minutes and she had 4 points. No turnovers this game. Other games she's had a lot of turnovers. One personal foul, took two threes, missed both of them, and I'm just so curious, like what she does. And this is no like disrespect, but like I know she was the number 2 pick. You have to preface everything you say with that because it garners some respect. You had to be good in college to be the number 2 pick. But like maybe she just isn't. She doesn't have number 2 talent. Maybe she's just a role player, And I feel like there are moments where they push her out there to try to take over a game or try to have these moments, and she just kind of fumbles them a lot. And I know getting traded to a team halfway through a season doesn't help, but it was just a curious case for me where like I watched a couple games because obviously I watched the Fever versus the Wings a couple days ago, maybe a week ago at this point, and I was just so confused. Like she was just out there doing stuff, and I was just like, okay, she doesn't look like a number 2 pick to me. So yeah, that's it for the Wings Aces. The Aces won the game 106 to the Wings 87. And before we switch gears or switch games to the Liberty versus the Lynx, I do want to talk about the Aces' remaining schedule. I want to talk about the strength of difficulty for these WNBA teams with the remaining the remaining schedule strength for these WNBA teams. Some of them, and I want to talk about some WNBA odds for finals winner, MVP, this and that, all that stuff. Because I've been meaning to talk about it, and now that we're in like the single digits of games, I think it's very important to talk about it. And we'll talk about the standings a little bit. First off, let's talk about the Aces' remaining schedule. Um, I'm only talking about the Aces because they're on the winning streak and they're my favorite team, and they're a really interesting playoff piece here. Because they are a championship team, they are on a good roll, and depending where they end up, they might they might cause a problem for these other teams that are seeking a championship. Um. Anyway, let's see here. So in the last couple games here, they have, let's see, one, two, three, four, five home games, and then one, two, three, four, five away games. So split right down the middle. Um, they play Atlanta, Phoenix at home. Then they play Washington, Chicago, Atlanta away. Then they come back home on the 4th of September to play Minnesota, play Chicago again, and then Los Angeles. So the last 3 games might not matter. In the case that they do matter, they might be pretty easy layups. Um, they don't have any more primetime games. And I'd say like you have, oh man, let me see. So you got one, two, three, maybe like 5 really hard games, because Atlanta's not an easy game. Phoenix is not an easy game. You see them once though. Minnesota's not an easy game. That's on the 4th of September. That's the first game they played that month. And then Washington plays them very well. Now, will Washington be tanking for a pick by then? Or do they even have a pick? I don't know. Maybe. So maybe that's a W, an easy W, but who knows? Um, I think this is a pretty evenly split schedule. Even if you split these games, or win one and lose. You need to win. You can't lose more than 5 games. You need to win at least 5 of these games, maybe 6, and then you should be okay. Um, this is looking pretty fair in my opinion. Um, let's move on to the remaining strength of schedule. Um, now I have this on Tankathon, and I'm not really a let me look at the remaining strength of schedule kind of guy, but in the WNBA it feels a little bit different. Um, looking through some of these teams here. Well, yes, let's circle. So we'll circle back to this. Hold on. Let's do the standings. Let's do the standings, and then we'll talk about strength of schedule because I think that's important as well. Strength scheduling or standings. Pardon me. Damn, I'm all over the place. Standings. Um, as of today, when was today? August 18th. Um, you have the Lynx at 1, 28-5, leading by a huge margin. You have the Dream at 2, 22-12. You have the Liberty at 21-13 at 3. You have the Mercury at 4, 20-13. You have the Aces at 5, 21-14. You have the Fever at 19-16. We're at 6. Yeah, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At 6, 19-16, who just can't stay away from injuries. They have a bunch of injuries going on right now. Sophie Cunningham, the latest one, and they had a huge rally back against the Connecticut Sun, but oh man, it's looking rough for them. They're dropping as I suspected they would. And then at 7, you have the Valkyries, who secured the most wins by a a newly inaugurated team. So the first season of a team's inception, they have the most wins ever by a team of that nature, 18-16. And then at 8, you have the Storm, 17-18. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's 8. So playoff cutoff is at 8, and the Storm are holding on to that spot by 1 game. And both the Mystics and Los Angeles are right behind them, both at 16-18. So it's gonna be a little fight for that 8th spot coming up here. I mean, you have the Fever, the Valkyries, the Storm, the Sparks, and the Mystics all fighting in that sort of range below 20 wins and between 16 and 19 wins. And then you have the bottom feeders, who have not even won 10 games on the season, the Wings, Chicago, and the Connecticut Sun. So that's the standings right now. The strength of schedule is interesting because the Indiana Fever have the toughest schedule left. They play the Lynx 3 times, they play the Mercury once, and they play the Valkyries once. Then the Valkyries have the second most difficult schedule left. They see the Lynx twice, they see the Liberty once, they see the Mercury twice, and they see the Fever once. And then Dallas just is in for a hurting. I'm not even gonna go through their games. They have the third toughest schedule left. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm reading this in order. Like I said, I don't do strength of schedule usually because if you're watching the games, you should know which teams are good, which teams are bad, and the strength of schedule really shouldn't matter. It's just like a combination of numbers and the strength of the other teams essentially. Connecticut Sun also have the toughest schedule left, and then this is where it gets interesting here. Los Angeles Sparks have the 5th toughest schedule left. They play Atlanta twice, they play the Mercury twice, they play the Aces once, and they play the Fever once. And they're really vying for this playoff spot. They would like to be in the playoffs. Um, like I said, they're sort of tied at the bottom half of the playoff run here. And then Chicago at 6. Minnesota has a pretty tough schedule left as well, but they're way far ahead of everybody else. I'm not concerned about them. The Aces have the 8th hardest schedule left, seeing Minnesota, Atlanta twice, and Phoenix once. Um, that's also interesting. And then moving downwards here to the tens and the teens, it's looking pretty easy for Seattle, New York, Phoenix, Atlanta. So the teams at the top are probably going to stay at the top at this point. Seattle has a really easy schedule left. They could bump up maybe into the fever spot. The Valkyries, they could maybe overtake the Valkyries if the Valkyries have a bad week or two left. Um, Phoenix and Atlanta, I don't foresee them dropping. They're probably going to stay around in this range, maybe go up. The thing, though, is that if Atlanta, New York, and Phoenix all have an easy schedule remaining, there's going to be some shifting around. There's going to be some games where they lose where they aren't supposed to lose. There'll be some games that they win that they're supposed to win. And it's all going to be about jockeying for the second spot here between Phoenix, New York, and Atlanta. I'm leaving the Aces out because the Aces are such a wild card, even though they are close in the range of that, a second seed. Um, but it's going to be very interesting lining up these games coming down the stretch, because some teams have, like I said at the beginning of the video, some teams have 9 games left, some teams have 11 games left, no more than 11 for any team, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the top half of this figures out. By the top half, I mean anything from the second to the 3 or the 4 seed shakes out, and then these teams right in the middle, like the Fever, dead smack in the middle. If they're going to drop, and then Valkyries, Storm, Sparks, Mystics are going to go up, uh, I don't know. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing happening right now in the WNBA, where you just kind of have to look at these games and like the teams at the top have to take care of business, and the teams at the bottom have to want it more than everybody else in front of them. That's what's happening right now. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that very quickly, and then the last thing I want to talk about here is um, odds, futures. Um, right now, I'm looking at MVP. We'll just do MVP right now because I won't make this video too long. Regular season MVP, Nafisa Collier is leading the odds right now. Um, this is brought to you by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. This is where I'm getting this information from. Shout out ESPN. Nafisa Collier is leading it right now, minus 425. Then next up, tied is Asia Wilson at 500, plus 500, and Alyssa Thomas at plus 500. And Sabrina Ionescu at plus, was that 10,000? Yeah, she's not winning it. So it's a 3-person race right now. It's Nafisa, it's Asia, and it's Alyssa Thomas. All I'm going to say is, because I'm biased, because I would like Asia to win her 4th MVP. Nafisa Kali better come back soon if she wants this award, because I get the Lynx want to rest her so they can make this playoff run. The championship is much bigger than the MVP, right? Like in their locker room, I would assume that's the ultimate goal. But also with the Lynx winning without Nafisa Collier, it looks bad because then people are saying, "Oh, Nafisa isn't the reason they're winning. The team is good without her." That's the narrative that always happens when your team's good without you. It's like, "Oh, see, we don't need her." In reality, they do need her because they almost lost this game to the Liberty. They probably wouldn't have if Nafisa was playing. And then on the other hand, you look at a player like Asia Wilson, who said, if Asia Wilson goes down, the Aces are cooked. The Aces are done. So she's, like I said, she's the engine to this offense. Asia Wilson is, and she just casually puts up like 20 and 10 and 5 assists, and like sometimes she puts up a 30-20 game, the first in WNBA history. Those things matter in an MVP race. But also you have Nafisa Kali, who's leading the league in triple doubles, and like historically is having a great year getting triple doubles for the league, for WNBA history. You look at that narrative as well, and you look at her and what her team has done. And personally, I like the Mercury a lot. I just don't know if they're built like that. There's a lot of awkward stuff going on with them, locker room wise, and like media wise, and like on the floor. Like some of the body language isn't great. Um, I don't know. All these things play into account, and there's a lot of narratives that need to be. There are a lot of narratives that are being driven and drove, and I'm not going to give my MVP pick. I think it's been very well known that I think Nafisa is going to win it, but Asia's my pick. But we'll do that probably next week, or it'll be a weekend video where I do my award favorites. who I think should win the award or who I'm picking to win the award, and that'll be that. To quickly touch on this Lynx Liberty game, I don't want to talk about it too much because it's sort of, again, I'm regurgitating the same narratives that have been going on for the past couple games. These teams have met. The Lynx won this game 86 points to the Liberty's 80 points. The Liberty were getting smacked all the way up until the third quarter, towards the middle end of the third quarter, where they started rallying back, started really showing their championship stripes and colors, um, and they did it in a way which was very impressive to me, which I didn't think they had it in. They had an extra gear. And the way they went about it was they got everybody involved. Everybody had a good game. This is what I've been harping on since um, Brianna Stewart has been out. Everybody needs to step up. These games, even though you lost this game, everybody stepped up. Jonquel Jones, 17 points, 6 rebounds. Emma Misselman, who I've been huge on since she's come back into the league, 10 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Natasha Cloud, 10 points. Can ask a little bit more from her, but I'm not gonna be too hard on her. This video, there'll be another time. Sabrina Ionescu, 13 points. I'm gonna continuously be hard on her because she's supposed to be the star of this team, or at least the second star in this team, and she puts up 13 points, 5 of 6 from field goal, 2 of 7 overall from three, 10 rebounds. I'm gonna need a little more. Um, Leonie Fibich, 7 points. A lot of hustle this game from Fibich. Um, Same thing from Marina Johannes, 11 points, 2 of 4 from three, 4 of 9 from field goal. Um, Marie, that was Kennedy Burke, pardon me. Marina Johannes, 12 points, 2 assists, 2 of 6 from three, 5 of 11 from field goal in 23 minutes. Um, I'm going to be hard on this team because they are the champions, and you get embarrassed like this in the regular season, either you take these losses and then you flip the switch in the postseason when you see the Lynx in the finals, or this is a recurring theme of something that's to come, in the sense of when the Liberty are missing a piece, they might not be the team they think they are. Even though almost everybody in the starting lineup can put up 10, you have everybody off the bench putting up 10 plus points. You lose by 6 because you just don't have enough firepower. And I will say, the Liberty looked like they wanted it more, but as I said in my Aces portion of this video, the Lynx just have this infectious energy that just like it buffs everything that they do. It gives everybody a boost, and by everybody a boost, I mean almost everybody in the starting lineup was in the teens. Jessica Shepard, 17, 10 rebounds. Um, Alana Smith, 14 points, 7 rebounds. Kayla McBride, 17 points, hit a big shot at the end of the game to essentially clinch this win for them, 17 points. Courtney Williams, 26 points. Um, Off the bench, you had a little help from Heidemann, Dejanay Carrington, and I still can't say her name. Maria K. I want to say her name so bad, but I don't want to butcher it. Yeah, this is the team that still wants it, but has the better energy. And that sounds so stupid to say, and it sounds like such a cliche. Like, oh, this team had better energy. They just wanted it more. The Liberty wanted this. The Lynx wanted it too, because this is to the Lynx. This is so much more important to get these wins. So you can look back on them and be like, see, we beat them this way in the regular season. Let's just do that again in Game 3 of the WNBA Finals. Versus the Liberty, they have nothing to go off of. They have almost nothing positive to go off of except, well, we tried, and this person had 10 points and that person had 10 points. It's a little different of a dynamic going into what could be a finals rematch in a month from now, where you're like, oh, the Lynx just cooked the Liberty all 4 games they met in the regular season. You could take something positive away from that. Versus the Liberty, I don't think you can take anything positive away from it, except you only played 1 game where both, I think, Nafisa and Stewie played in the regular season. You look back, the Liberty can only grasp things from when they won the championship. And that championship was sort of fluky in the sense of like, there were some fouls that shouldn't have happened. There were some things that shouldn't have happened. It was clearly favored more towards the Liberty to win that championship. But then you have to look back what now 6 months ago, 8, 10 months ago, when your team was different and now this Lynx team is much more improved. I don't think that's a positive thing for the Liberty. I think this was a positive game, but overall, I think you've lost the battle, and now you're going to move on to the war of the playoffs. And like I talked about, the jockeying for position is going to be interesting because if the Liberty match up with somebody who's going to beat them, like physically beat them down and mentally beat them down, and somebody gets hurt, somebody's tweaked something, somebody, I don't think they have it in them this year. And the Minnesota Lynx haven't shown me anything that says, oh, this team has a chink in the armor, because they don't. They have a little dig in the armor. I don't think they don't. They're 28-5 on the season. They don't have double-digit losses. And I'm going to be very tentative when I say this. The regular season doesn't dictate the playoffs. The playoffs are a whole different animal. But the Lynx have been in those moments. They weren't supposed to make it to the finals last year, and they did. And now they're looked at to make the finals this year, and they've continually grown, and they've continually showed me things that say, hey, these guys have everything, down from the most minute pieces, down to missing Nafisa Collier and still winning games. And when Nafisa comes back, she's gonna get to play with Dejanay Carrington, who they didn't have last time she played. She's gonna get to play with this version of Elena Smith, who is a little bit more confident in her shot, in her moments, offensively, defensively. Smith has been great all season. A more confident Kayla McBride. Um, all signs point towards the Lynx making the finals. And I'm gonna say this right now. I'm not sure the Liberty are gonna make it back to the finals. That's my hot take of the day. So yeah, I just want to talk about this game a little bit. It's been the same run around the past couple times, so I don't need to dive too deep into this. Matchup again. Is this the last time we'll see this matchup? I feel like they play one more time, but I might be wrong. Schedule. I think this might be it. No, they play one more time, August 19th. And I hope that wait, oh my god, they play tomorrow. Sheesh. In New York, by the way. Um will that's tomorrow. I don't know. Ooh, I was about to say, is Stewie and Nafisa gonna play? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if Nafisa played, maybe. But they might not want to throw against this team when they have something good rolling, let her rest an extra day. Because she's out of the boot, Nafisa Collier is, so she's gonna be playing soon, this back half of the schedule. Um, we'll see. I've been hearing things that Brianna Stewart wants to come back before the 20th, before like the end of the month, just to get her feet under her. Um, will that happen? I don't know. But again, my hot take is I'm not sure the Liberty are gonna make it back to the finals. We're gonna have to see when the playoff picture comes more into focus. But yeah, that's all I have to say. A bit of a longer video, but um, nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoying this during the WNBA content. It's been a lot of it recently. I'm enjoying it. This is the most locked in I've been on a season. Like, and by locked in a season, not just on my Aces. Like in the past, I would just watch Aces game. Now I watch like the other games more intensely, more um, for this job, and it's been fun. This league's in a great place, man, and the playoffs are gonna be great. This final couple games are gonna be great. So if you like what I'd say, like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And there'll be more WNBA stuff coming soon. And I will see you all next time. Cheers.